Value for money in video games seems to be something that has cropped up now more than ever in the video game industry. Whether it's the length of the game versus the price you paid for it, or if there's enough substance left once you finish with the story, if the game even has one. The game Firewatch seems to be the most recent example of this. Firewatch is a narrative-driven game, or walking simulator as it's now commonly known, which lasts around 2 to 3 hours, and the developers have asked £15 for this. And in fact, you could complete the game and get a refund through the Steam refund program, if you feel so inclined to. This isn't shocking though. These kind of games are what I like to call sale games. Many people, once hearing about a game like this, including myself, will hold off until the game is on sale and pick it up then, since they know that it has little to no replay value. Another recent example would be That Dragon Cancer, which, although a very moving game with a very great purpose, is in my eyes expensive for what you get. Around 90 minutes of clicking and watching a heartbreaking story. So I can understand why people will hold off on these kind of games, or even go out of their way to get a refund. Going back to Firewatch, a user on the discussion thread for Firewatch had this to say. So this game was $18. I purchased it because I enjoy games like this. And I enjoyed this game. A lot. Like, way more than a healthy amount. But it was 2 to 3 hours. I feel like there could have been more, and I'm thinking of refunding. But here is my problem. I loved this game. It was a unique game with awesome narration and storytelling. I like the developers. I mean, seriously, have you seen how active they are on these forums? What other dev is connected to their community? I want to support the developers, but there was so much more I could have got with my $18. Should I refund or hold on to it? Now, he does raise a fair point in my opinion. I feel that indie developers do put forward too big of a price of admission for their games, but I'm going to try and take both sides here. First, the developer's side. Imagine you and a small team of people devote so much time and love into a project, so much so that it consumes your life. Now, I know you can do this with any kind of project, but because we're talking about video games here, I'm gonna make it a video game. But of course, life goes on around you. Your team experiences illness, loss, among other things, which all build up, and possibly after years of production, you finally finish your product. Then you put it out into the world for what you think is a fair price when you factor in the amount of time and effort you put into it. Only for people to ask for refunds, even after saying it's a fantastic game and even after they finished it, but they don't think the price was fair. With hard copies, this isn't so bad. You can just trade the game in or sell it and move on. But for a digital release, it's a whole different ballgame. And for many of these story-driven games, they A, will be downloadable, since getting a hard copy made of your game is much more expensive than, say, going on Steam's Greenlight program or applying to be a part of the Sony's PlayStation Plus program. Plus, it's rare to see an indie game ever get boxed. The most recent example is the breakout success of Rocket League, and even that, it's still not released at the time of recording. And B, story-driven games like Firewatch, Gone Home, and That Dragon Cancer need to be presented in this form, otherwise the main focus of the game, the story, will most likely be lost and not have the same impact. Plus, put yourself in their shoes, and after all that thought, time, and work, at the end of the day, you want to get paid for your effort. And even if people like the game, they still want their money back. It must hurt. Next, however, is the consumer's argument. I'm a teenage boy who is soon to become a full-time university student. I most likely will be very poor and barely be able to afford luxury food, let alone luxuries like video games. This is future tense here, of course, so I'm just hypothesizing my wealth in the future, but this is the cliche here, and I'm sure I'll be a part of that cliche. So when it comes to getting a video game for myself, I will think about how much value I get for the money I'm going to pay. I may go and say, okay, this game is £40, let's take Fallout 4, my most recent long playthrough of a game. I played 96 hours. 40 divided by 96 is 0.416666666667. So I paid around 42p per hour of gameplay. That is fantastic value for money. Well, let's take a game I played recently called Superhot, which is a good game by the way. But it cost me £18 and I got 2 hours of fun out of it. Get out your supercomputer and calculate that I paid £9 per hour of fun. Imagine you're that student, some of you may be watching this and be in that situation, hello, I'll soon be with you. Which would you pick? When you're skint, you don't go for the amazing story games that may leave you with certain feelings or emotions and impressions, over the game that just plainly offers you hours of entertainment for your money. Or you may be lucky and get both in the same package. Recent examples of this are the aforementioned Fallout 4, The Witcher 3, Metal Gear Solid 5, there are tons. But when you have no money and you play these games, you feel satisfied with your purchase. Then you purchase a game like Gone Home, which is an amazing game by the way, but when you finish the game you kind of have a feeling along the lines of, is that it? This may sound narrow to you, dear viewer, but when you only have pennies to your name and you want to play a game, this is how you will think. Now, of course, there are many arguments to this. You can say, like, don't always play new games or replay your old games you love so much to get value even more for your money. But games mean something different to different people. To some, they want to be impressed and have experiences to constantly keep them interested, and once even a slight of amount of feeling of work creeps into the game, they're no longer interested. For others like me, I want the escapism they bring. I escape the boring mundane world we live in, where I can take on tasks and challenges I couldn't in real life, like become an amazing fighter, take part in a sport and actually do really well in it, and take part in things I already have a love for, like already existing medias. The other side of the coin for escapists out there is just a distraction before the next shift at work or waiting for someone to come home, but I feel people who are watching this video are not likely on that side of the coin and on my side. I tell you all this because as I grew up, I loved video games. I loved the characters and wished they were real and played not just for fun, but because it gave me a purpose. I felt like while playing these games, if I saved the land or defeated the final boss, I would become a hero and a saviour to the land. Now I play games for a different reason, and still love them, may I add. Whether it be for fun with friends, to escape to another world, fall in love with out-of-this-world characters and stories, or simply to settle a score with someone, or to kill time before I go to bed. I love video games, and at the end of the day, although value for money is something we all think about when buying a game or products in general, to be honest, sometimes we need to sit back and remember two things. The video game industry is just like any other big industry out there, powered by money, and never forget, at the end of the day, it's just a game.